All right. Hope all is well. Welcome to our show. This is H&D Abroad. I'm Herman.
And I'm Dee.
And we are always glad to have those who are here. If you're here, we want to welcome you. Want to invite you to announce yourselves in the chat so that we can acknowledge you. And if you're from the future, we want to say hi to you, ask you to reply and get into the comments. Here at H&D Abroad, we strive to help Black couples to see moving abroad as a plan A for generational wealth and for healthy living. So we are excited to share today. I want to say hello to Eleanor Matthews. Good morning, good afternoon, I should say. We're gonna come on, if you're out there, please let us know you're here. We want to let you know you're here. If you like what you've seen so far, or you like what you hear, or you've seen us before, we want to ask that you share our page with others, but we want to make sure that you subscribe to us. And if you like our video today, please like that video and hit the notification bell. All right, so today we are talking about identity theft in the midst of decluttering. So those who've seen us, we've been trying to declutter our home, our house, as we prepare our move abroad. We've had a declutter video here and on our Instagram page. It is a slow process. And what we have found is that we have a lot of documentation lying around. Wanted to hit on identity theft because of some of the things that we know can happen from the things that we found, as well as some things that have happened to us personally. I think I shared on last week that I had someone to get into one of my old email accounts, and through getting in my email account, they also got into and totally took over my Facebook account. And it looks like to some degree, they also got into our financial accounts to a small degree, but we were able to stop that. So we want to kind of address some of that today and some of the things we kind of come across while we've gone through all of our stuff this morning. Anything you want to share, Dee?
No, just, keeping an eye out for your personal information and thinking about how am I going to store it or how am I going to destroy it.
So one of the first things we want to talk about is all the paper and documents that tend to be lying around. Hold on one second here. That tend to be lying around in boxes. So financial documents, personal information. We want to encourage you to shred all financial and personal documents. We have found bills and account records and old mortgage statements and things that we were keeping for accounting records. We tend to keep things, make sure I get the number right, D, for 7 years. We try to keep our old things for about 7 years. But sometimes those things get pushed over into other boxes and files. And then what happens is then you're just trying to throw stuff away. A lot of people do not own a shredder. And so they just dump the stuff. And there are people who will go through your trash and your documents to take information that is there that you may not realize that is identifiable information, like bank account numbers, your name. Most of the time, Social Security numbers are not on things, but occasionally we write things on documents that we held and didn't realize we wrote our Social Security number on it. There are companies like Shred-it, I believe it's called, that do document shredding. And some of the local, sometimes some of the local things like Office Max and Staples, you can go and do your own shredding. But that's one of the things I suggest for paperwork. Then there's things like license plates. We probably got a stack of license plates in the garage, because it used to be, if I remember correctly, that they would take your license plate. You had to turn in your license plate when you got a new license plate. But they changed them so often now they just hand you a license plate. So a lot of times you're changing them at home and you're just stacking them up in the garage or wherever you have them. One of the things that I saw about them said to cut them up and to take off the date stickers, the date and time stickers on all of them. Now, cutting them might require some pretty decent shears or something, but they try to say damage them, bend them up, make them unusable. And those are two of the biggest kinds of documents that I can think of that we have found in our space. Any other documents, things that you want to suggest?
Let's see. So I have kept my driver's license, my old driver's license, from when I was single. And back in the day, I don't know if anyone else, I hear a really bad echo. I don't know if that's on my side. The old way was to put your social security number on your driver's license. I really hope no one is doing that anymore. But you definitely want to take care to cut those driver's license into very, very small pieces. Let's see, some other things. I still have the my tax documents. My first tax document I ever filed, I still have it. We still have our old taxes from when we first got married. And so when you think about the kinds of things that you're going through, the things that you've moved, if you've moved several times, we lived in our house for 17 years. So, I mean, we've been toting these kinds of things around for a while. My student loan debt records, I mean, I've kept them just to keep up with things, but thinking about what kind of information. So personally identifiable information, you should be considering anything that has your date of birth, anything that has your addresses where you live, because you want to remember some of this information is what you confirm when you're confirming your identity. Old addresses, old employers. And so, being careful to shred them. Some people burn them. Y'all, please, it's a hot, kindling summer. Don't get out there and start no house fires trying to burn your stuff. But you want to think about making sure that not only your documentation is secure, but your children's as well. We see a lot of identity theft. I see servant teacher Nikki saying that she's had her identity theft stolen. People don't adults may be thinking about, hey, I'll notice getting credit card statements that I didn't fill out, or, having someone try to acquire credit under my name. But you should also think about your children. And your children's information should also be protected. Their dates of birth, any specific information. So even on social media, and I'm trying to keep it to physical documents because we're talking about decluttering, but people are tracking your birthday. So if you say how old you are, or you can put in your actual date of birth in social media, that's another way that people can pull your personal information. And just with a few, what do you call that? Periphery references to other things. You could be giving details about your life that would help someone to um, take complete advantage. So when I mention children, we're going to talk about some preventive things, but you should be checking for your children's records as well if they're under the age of 18.
When you're cutting up your debit cards and credit cards and driver's licenses, make sure that you're cutting them up across the strip and across the numbers. You want to destroy that strip because even though it's an expired number, expired card, sometimes there's information that can be pulled off of that card through the strip. So you want to destroy that card across the strip, either by cutting it the long way across the middle of the strip itself. I usually cut mine across the card that cuts across everything, numbers, name, everything, so that when I throw them away, it's just pieces. But that is probably how I do it. Now, to be fair, I do have quite a few old driver's licenses laying around because, again, they used to take those. It used to be when you got a new driver's license, you had to turn in your old driver's license. Now they just hand you the new one. So that is something and those can also be shredded. One of the things that I have found sometimes in old documentation is you might have old accounts of processes of things that you've had. Trying to give you an example of
when you had youth. We didn't know he had an Oak Tree account. Let me tell you, that old. It was an old-fashioned store, y'all, called Oak Tree.
It was an old men's store. It was Oak Tree before there was Old Navy, and there was Oak Tree and Structure. And Structure became Structure and Express. And I had an old Oak Tree. Was it Oak Tree or Structure? I think it was a Structure. I had an old Structure account. And Structure got folded into Express and became Express Men. No comment. Yeah, I didn't even know that I had that account, and it was still open. And it did not show up anywhere, even until it was about to close on my credit report. It was never even present. Luckily, I didn't owe anything on it, and nobody had tapped into it. And the store doesn't exist anymore, so that helped too. But yeah, old accounts can sometimes provide credit access for people to access your accounts. Let's see here. A lot of times, this is one that's hard. This is one that has become a real nemesis for a lot of people because everything is password oriented. Everything is password oriented, and each site has its own specific way of how it wants you to put in a password. So 8 capital letters, 4 9 numbers, no double numbers, no double letters, certain symbols. And after a while, trying to remember all that, we do what is the human brain's best way, and we create a standard password.
Or we write our passwords down, and especially as a part of the declutter process, y'all. Don't leave your list of passwords to your bank accounts, your credit cards accounts, because that is literally, a complete cheat sheet in your life.
Now we have a place we keep passwords, but what we've been trying to do is, as that document form gets passed on, we tend to write it in our calendar book, that we try to destroy that book because it goes into destroy that page of information because it goes into filing, so that when our new information is stored on a new document page, it's in our security place, and the old one is destroyed. So even if the old calendar book exists or the new diary exists, then that information is destroyed. Changing passwords can be really tough though, because you're trying to remember all the things. Do not put your passwords in a file on your email. it's easy to, because that's what we use. But if your email gets broken into, like mine did, all of your information is right there.
I want to lean a little bit. Servant teacher Nikki made a point about her incident, and it was she didn't find out about her identity theft until she went to try to use her credit. That is usually one way. There are lots of other ways. If you're getting calls for debt collection for things you know you didn't do, medical bills, pharmacies, those are indications you might want to go out to your credit report and find out if somebody has some debts in your name. If you're not checking your credit report, you should be using annualcreditreport.com to access the 3 major credit bureaus. We try to space it out roughly every 3 to 4 months, just going through and checking. Are there any details that do not belong to us there? But yes, before we leave the US, we will be freezing our credit. But as a matter of fact, I think you've already done that. I'm thinking I should do it too.
So I did it once I realized, it's one thing to have your Facebook page taken. That's embarrassing. It's the email account that they got into has become essentially a junk email account. But somehow they accessed our financial accounts, only in minor ways, but they did. So immediately I changed all the passwords to everything that I had. And then I went in and froze my credit. You can freeze your credit for free at each of the 3
credit bureaus,
credit bureaus. So I had to go into each one, and it was each one was simple. Freeze your credit, yes, because I already have an account with them because I check my records systematically. And so it's just a matter of hitting the freeze your credit report. They sent me a confirmation email to state it was frozen. Mind you, so when you freeze your credit, it does not stop you from reviewing your information. It stops anybody from opening a credit check on your account and from opening a new line of credit on your account. So no one can go in and open a loan in your name. No one can go in and get an apartment in your name or lease on your phone or whatever, because the credit check is frozen for them to do that. So if you need to do something that requires you to do a credit check, you have to unfreeze each of those accounts for that to be done. So what it does is just, like I said, it holds the financials. Another one is, scroll down here, is to use Identitytheft.gov. I also went to Identitytheft.gov and filed a identity fraud alert. And pretty much that just said, hey, someone potentially has tried to access my personal information and potentially compromise my personal information. And I just filed a report and alert so that if it comes up on record and anything comes up that I want to, my brain is asleep.
If you have to prove that it wasn't you, you can go back to documentation. I really wanted to add to that, Herman, that identity theft is a crime. And you can file a police report. And in the things that I've read in preparing for this, a lot of times that gives you a leg to stand on when you're reaching out to creditors, that you're also sending them how this is not you, how you did not open that line of credit, and prove that you've gone to the police department and filed an actual, um, you've opened a case regarding your identity theft. This is $1 billion business,
Mhm.
this kind of crime. And y'all, if we are moving abroad, we're closing down this life, you still gotta make sure that stuff isn't going awry, because even though I may not need my credit when I'm abroad, it can impact the things I need to be able to do here.
Yeah, right. Decluttering can be time consuming and frustrating. In this process, it can be even more time consuming, because one of the things that I realize is you can't just pick up a batch of things and say, I don't use them, and then throw them away. You actually need to go. So books, magazines, paperwork, because you don't realize you put an index card inside a book you were reading that has personal information on it. So you really have to be kind of thorough in the process when you're decluttering, because so many things can be tracked back. Hackers and identity thieves and people who are trying to access your personal information, they have so many ways that they can tap into who you are. I mean, you can search online and find people that you didn't know you had lost contact with. So if you have information in the slightest that's available that you've just kind of haphazardly chucked, you now have made yourself vulnerable to having your identity. And the downside, one of the bigger downsides to that is the fight that comes in trying to prove that
it was not you. Yeah. Years and years and lots of paperwork and so much time.
I mean, we've talked to people who said it took me years and it took me money, and they kind of, and the credit bureaus and the government, finally Uh-oh. Yeah, having some connections here. Not sure why. But getting that off of your credit and getting that off of your record can be a really big challenge.
Other ways, more than just tapping into your money or trying to open up lines of credit, people are stealing your identity to get jobs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I did not know, just kind of the expansiveness of how they can take on your identity. And then when they get a job with your identity, you owe the IRS for any unpaid employment taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a gentleman that was saying he couldn't get married because he had hundreds of thousands. He had like 17 people had taken his identity because he had kept his Social Security card in his wallet when he was a teenager. And so now the IRS was saying he owed those taxes. They don't care if it's not you. They don't care if there's so protecting your data, protecting your information. It's definitely, you can work with an IRS tax advocate, but y'all, that is an uphill battle.
Dee trained me. She taught me about, because I carried my Social Security card in my wallet because that was what I was told to do when it was handed to me, was that I always have it on me because I might need it. It was years before I memorized my Social Security. My Social Security card looks like it's 90 years old because it spent the first however many years in my wallet. It never occurred to me that would be an issue. My dear wife talked me out of that process, taught me that was a bad idea. And so that is not putting your Social Security number on your driver's license, not carrying your Social Security card around with you. I try to memorize a lot of my data numbers so that some of those documents I don't have to have with me when I need them. Servant teacher Nikki here said she had to prove her identity in Illinois Attorney General as they did investigate.
Mm-hmm.
And they proved identity and had the debt. How long did that take you? If you don't mind putting that in, telling us how long that took you, because I mean, there are some people I know that's taken them in a remarkable amount of time to do.
Y'all, people are doing things. So another story that I read about, they took a stolen, they had taken this lady's identity, had created a new driver's license and was going to car dealerships and to test drive and stealing the cars. She was in jail for 4 days over a holiday weekend because even though she had contacted the police department, she had each time that they did this, she had to go and prove that it wasn't her. They put a warrant out for her arrest, arrested her on a Friday, and she didn't get out until Tuesday till she could go before the judge and show, I have talked with the police department, I have filed a report, saying my identity had been stolen. I was at work, I can prove that I was there. And for them to take the charges off of her. This is real, this is real life. People have real consequences. And who wants to have the marshal meet them because there's a warrant out for their arrest when they're re-entering the country or when they're trying to leave?
Correct.
So staying on top of reviewing your credit, making sure that your data is destroyed properly or secured. So I want to make sure that I say securing your information is also important. So if you've got we use a firebox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust myself with what do you call them? With the code for the lock. So you can get the ones or use a key, but make sure you're also securing your information.
Yeah, for it to only have taken you 6 months, that's a blessing, because that's not standard, unfortunately. As identity theft is being cracked down on, even with documentation, like she's saying she had proof, they are arresting people. They are being more diligent about cracking down on identity theft. But then it means that they have to prove that you are or are not who you are, and you got to go to great lengths. We have people in political office right now who are not who they said they were, and I mean, it's just it takes a lot of effort nowadays because they're mirroring Facebook pages. So they're using your Facebook page to mirror your Facebook page to break into your Facebook friends or Instagram friends pages through hacks. It used to be from outside the country, but now it's happening right here in your own. More often, it's happening from people who live right where you are. In the move abroad process, you do not want to be out of the country trying to prove you are who you say you are. You do not want to be trying to go out of the country to complete a process and be trying to prove you are who you say you are because someone.
The identity theft process, a lot of countries have you complete a FBI background check and complete a local police report. Imagine not realizing that somebody has stolen your identity, has all these crimes on your, and you can't get your residency in a country. So identity theft really is something we should take care about, because it can impact our ability to move, in the world and in the ways that we see fit. and also can impact your passport renewal process. So y'all be mindful, be specific.
Yeah. Let's see. Did I have any
Oh,
other?
I'm not saying biometric safes. Okay. We're talking about some serious cash, though. I'm pretty sure for that. But there are new ways and better ways that clarify that you are the person who's supposed to have access to those documents.
Yeah, yes. Yes. And we used to have one. I think we burned that little shredder up.
Yes.
We burned our little shredder up trying to burn things. And so now we're looking at several things that we're going to have to put in the fire pit before we go, because it's stacked up and we realize how much stuff there is.
And y'all, those pre-approval letters, you could like climb a mountain with those things. They are sending them so often. And I am guilty of just going from the mailbox to the trash can. I'm just like, I can't take. I mean, so having a process as you declutter, keeping things organized. Go ahead. If you were, I know this is a sore spot for Herman, but if you were on the Amazon Prime days, you should have had a shredder in your in your cart. That's something that I think all of us should have. So, oh yes, okay. So transition to tech. Maybe we should have you on, darling, because cybersecurity and identity theft, y'all. When people pulling yourself out of that, you have gotten to be debt free. You have all those things. Ooh, and using that VPN when you are traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Because we like H said, yes, I've been guilty of leaving some passwords on my computer. But when you are plugging your USB into those charging units at the airport, when you are hopping on those Wi-Fis in the cafes of the various countries of the world, be aware that you are opening yourself up. And so, even with the, what is it? REID.
Mm-hmm.
We keep our passports in those documents. That's how I move when I'm outside of the US. But we have to be thinking about how do I protect myself on a daily basis as well. So yes, thank you so much, Transition to Tech, for giving the advice about being, keeping our stuff secure. Anything else, H?
Hold on a second here. I'm checking my notes. Make sure that all accounts that you're using, whether accounts that you're creating online or especially online, that more and more accounts are secure accounts. You'll see the little lock icon next to websites. But again, when you're decluttering, there's so much information that we amass, that we store, that we stack. There's so many things that we stick into corners, and you point to the kids and say, throw that stuff over there away. But even checking, if you have young people in your house and they're having to declutter as part of the move, checking their things as well, their school records, their vaccination records, anything that might have information. It always terrifies me when I see people driving down the street and they got the little family icons on the back of the car that shows how many boys and how many girls and how many dogs and how many cats, and they got everybody's name underneath it. Or you go to, the part-time delivering for the post office, and I come to your house and you got a doormat that's got everybody's names on it, all the dogs' names on it, all the kids' names on it. I have seen kids' names on the doormat at the door.
if you are reselling things as a part of your declutter, make sure you've gone through them to make sure that nothing gets transferred. Wipe your computers, wipe your cell phones
Oh,
before you turn them over for the credit or for resale, y'all. Just thinking, um, how could people tap in? Because I thought that iPhones are pretty secure, and I'm reading about so much more about the theft of iPhones, and then people getting locked out of their cloud, and then like it's downhill from there. So
yeah. I
not
got
doom and gloom, but definitely wanting to tell you, make sure you're checking your credit at least every 3 months. Those weird calls asking you, for debt collection aren't just spam. They may be indications that something's going on. Check your credit, but also be mindful to check your children's credit. Pediatricians' office workers have taken children's records. So keeping an eye and not only shredding things appropriately, shredding things regularly, but keeping your information secure, I think are the biggest takeaways we wanted to make sure. If you've got accounts that you're not using anymore, close them.
Mhm. And even things that you get in the mail. So if you're getting credit card and loan application stuff in the mail, and you're not accepting those, tear that up. Don't leave that open for somebody else to try to sign in your name. Destroy anything that people can use against you. Most of us do not have the time or energy. And to be honest, most people don't spend enough time reviewing their personal information. And sometimes by the time you found out, you own 4 cars and 6 houses. And you're deep in distress at that point.
All right. Well, that is what I have to offer around this topic. If you all have more questions, more advice, please put that in the chat. But I'm seeing a lot of us declutter. I'm so excited to see the pile of things slowly go down. But I was really surprised how much we've kept over the years, and we've got to do something with it, more than just clearing it away. We want to do it in a way that keeps our present safe and our future safe. So thanks, guys, for joining us today.
Absolutely. We hope that this was helpful to you. Again, remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all those regular things, because we depend on you to grow and to learn. And hold on.
Yeah, I was going to say, make sure you transition to tech. Just gave some more advice. Good Lord, I did not even think about that. Old fax machines.
Old fax machines and copiers are really like the old printing presses. Some are stored on their plates. Research how to effectively destroy the machine. I did not know that.
I didn't know that. Ooh.
I did not know that. Wow. Okay. And luckily I don't have an old fax machine. We do have an old copier. We didn't do a lot of copying on it, but we did a lot of printing off of it. And maybe we take that into effect as well. Okay. Servant teacher Nick asked, how far in advance would you suggest we freeze our credit? It can be done at any time. I would do it because if you aren't going to, let's see, because you can unfreeze it. So if you're not going to move until October and there's no reason to have your information reviewed before then I would say go ahead and freeze it, because you can turn around at any point. It's just a matter of going back into the system and clicking on the button and unfreezing it. And you just have to remember that it's done. you have to remember that it's done before you apply for anything like utilities or water or rent for an apartment and leases, things like that. Take a hammer to your old hard drives.
Oh, I totally forgot about all the old 3 1/4 and floppy disks, old thumb drives. Y'all do not forget.
We have a garage full of them. We've been already talking about how to go through all of them, and because at some point in time we had something that died on us, and we didn't have the time to get the information transferred on. So we got like 6 laptops we've been dragging around because it's got personal pictures and probably information and documentation on it. And so, I didn't think about that. Even in going to those
Geek Squad kind of thingies.
Yeah, being careful about
who you let get access to your.
Yeah, you need to check their policies for your protection, for your privacy protection, because they're going to have access to information you don't currently have access to. I've tried to do some of them. I had a phone that wouldn't let me access the touch screen anymore. And so I went through this whole process of buying the little thing so I could transfer the information over, transferred it over to another computer, and then that computer died. So now I got to try to get the stuff off of that computer. And that may require me to do that professionally. And that then would mean that information we have on that would be exposed. So yes, old hard drives, have them recycled. But if you can wipe them, if you can have them wiped in your presence, have them wiped, have them destroyed. Yeah, because one thing they say is electronic information is rarely truly gone. Right.
Can live forever. Great advice, y'all. Y'all have always, that is why community, we can help each other, where we can see, where we can be helpful. But we love when you guys give us more based on your experience and level of expertise. If you haven't been the victim of identity theft, more than likely somebody in your circle has been impacted. If you are currently working, and this is kind of putting on my HR hat, a lot of our employee assistance programs have identity theft or legal support as part of. Annual enrollment is getting ready to open for a lot of us in October. So think about adding some identity theft protection if your employer offers it at a discount. Make sure you're protecting your computers. There's, all kinds of things that you can purchase that are good for providing some kind of barrier to folk accessing your data. And it might be time to refresh and build a stronger password. So transition to tech, if you have any advice on creating a strong password, you can put it in the chat for us now. But building a strong password and making sure that you are changing your passwords. Don't keep Kiki257 as your password from college and you're now 40 years old. It needs to be refreshed. Okay, here's the advice from someone with expertise. Use passphrases versus passwords.
Interesting. Okay.
So things that are parts of words and not whole words. Yes.
It is a struggle for me. And I admit it is a struggle for me because everything there's so many things, and everything now is the what is it called? The
two-factor identification.
Authentication. Whew. But having someone in my personal business that is a very uncomfortable situation to be in, and it is worth the inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
Inconvenience.
Yeah, go ahead and flash that one too. Yep. Passphrases should include capital letters, numbers, special characters.
That means something to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's hard to decipher. Yeah. Yeah, I have one good one, but I need to stop recycling it. I have one good one that I need to stop recycling. But it's mine. Whenever it comes up, it's like, yeah, that's a strong one. I'm like, yeah, but it's a strong one too long. So
yeah, let's see, transition to tech. I'm just gonna keep talking to you. They have something that's like a USB drive that will hold it. Is that something that could be protection? Because we're having to create these unique passwords, and our memories don't go but so far. But like everything, I have a password to my library card access. I have passwords, not just at work, but just in things that you would normally think, why do I need a password to log into my grocery store public, grocery rewards account? Y'all, more and more people are asking for you to create these passwords. Is there a secure way to develop them, but not have to write them down, but keep them secure?
yeah, because I've got access to close to 10 different emails, between emails that we share, old emails, recycled emails, emails for various purposes and points. And just emails alone, those are passwords. When you count in all of your bank accounts, when you count in all of your online purchasing, you count in your social media accounts, you're talking about passwords forever. Hold on a second. She answered that question for you.
Yes, I have heard of that electronic keychain. All right, so we will try to pull some of these things like shredders and the keychain. Go out and find a few of those. We'll put them in the description box of this video.
Absolutely.
All right, good people.
Thank you all for hanging out with us for a minute, and we'll see you again soon. We're HMD Abroad. We'll see you soon.
Bye for now.